Welcome to the Saturday morning session, 2013 Extraordinary Technology Conference. I'm your Master of Ceremonies, Michael Riversong. Our first speaker, Clayton Nolte. He made it clear in an interview before we got started that he's not working with the normal constraints of time and space that most of us take for granted. There's a phrase sometimes called unstuck in time, maybe that applies here, but the ideas of background and work, history, and degrees and all that, they don't apply here. They don't need to, because Clayton has devoted so much time and so much energy and intention to building things that will make life better for people. And that's really what it's about, is this centrality of intention. He's done an incredible job, as you're going to see. We always find that his talks are fascinating. And so he's been in research and development on Tesla-related technology for a very long time. And when I asked him, what would you most like people to know about you? He said, he has a lot of fun. Let's welcome Clayton Nolte.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning. I know many of you throughout these conferences, and I'm meeting new friends pretty constantly. So we do have a video that we just was produced in about a week and a half, and it's a Blu-ray quality, and I'd love for everybody to see it. And I'm going to have a lot more time for questions and answers, because there's a lot of you out there that have specific things that you want to know about. I represent structured water, and I say represent. A lot of people here consider themselves inventors, and maybe I'm an inventor, but in reality, all of my life, all of my adventures in technologies, in research, in development, came through asking the question, listening to the answer, and stepping forward and doing it. That's what this is all about. Just do it. And every time that you come to a place of question, ask. Instantaneously, you are given the answer. All you have to do is get out of the way to hear it. So we can talk more about that. I would like the management here to run the movie. I think this will be very clear to you. There's a lot of really great information in this movie. And again, like I said, this was produced in a week and a half. Thank you. Structured water has been around since the beginning of time. It is a pattern that's in all nature. A vortex or a vortex energy to the left is creation energy, feminine energy. Energy to the right is masculine energy. In nature, the balance is required. The left spin and the right spin, those two vortexes are the origin of all things. And so they are definitely part of nature. And again, they are the origin. So everything stems from that movement, dance. And when we talk about dance, that's exactly what happens in water with structuring. Water is in a dance. It's spinning. That's how structuring occurs, through the spin, through the turn. And what these units provide is a balance in the water. Man always tends to go for one thing, taking one thing out of the picture and making it the right answer. In nature, it's about balance. For everything to exist, and to exist cleanly and toxic-free, it must be in balance. As you come into balance with this water, no predator can come in. Just the mere fact of structuring releases an exceptional amount of free oxygen. And the majority of predators in our life live in environments where there's no oxygen. They thrive in high pH environments. So what happens is when you structure water, you get an enormous amount of free oxygen. Free oxygen kills every anaerobic bacteria, virus, or mold. It aids aerobic bacteria, which is the acids and the bacteria in your stomach and your intestines, in septic tanks. Anaerobic bacteria is killed, aerobic bacteria is enhanced. So, again, structuring creates a water that is toxic-free, energetically toxic-free. Water in nature, everything that water passes by and everything that it passes through, it remembers. If you look at most cities reprocess the gray water. That water is reprocessed 23 times before it actually evaporates and it goes back into nature. You could be looking at a significant amount of memory, which entails virtually all the medications, pharmaceuticals, all the trauma, all the conditions that water has had an opportunity to pass by or pass through since it came out of nature. So what that memory does, it really convolutes water. It brings water into a place of having basically thousands, if not tens of thousands or more water molecules in a cluster, and they're all glommed together. So potentially, when a person were to drink that water, it wouldn't have time to break down anything. It would just go straight through you. What structuring does is within the first turn or so through the structuring unit, it erases that memory or neutralizes the memory. It neutralizes the memory of all toxins. The original technology is about structuring. But in time, we experience, let's say, feedback from the public out there about still smelling chlorine in their water even after it's structured. And an awareness from my involvement in technologies and the energies that are coming at humanity that most people have no understanding of, and that's called electromagnetic energy. Electromagnetic energy is created by electricity, and all these devices, all these electrical devices, cell phone towers, microwave towers, just power lines in general. When you get in a significant pocket of EMF energy, what it does to you and to the water around you is it makes it hard. it raises the hardness level in the water. In other words, in the terminology that I've put forth already, viscosity, that viscosity goes up. It makes a very difficult water for your body to create hydration. And so I looked for elements that could neutralize, or let's say offset, that electromagnetic signature that everybody is being pounded with. So when you structure it, of course, that all comes about. You get instant hydration. The original unit is still significant. It works all over the world. In environments that are not inundated by cell phone towers and microwave towers and a lot of electrical power lines and or underground electrical sources, the dynamically enhanced has a charge on it just by itself. So the dynamically enhanced has a flow form that is other ingredients inside the flow form, which create an ion effect. It's an ion exchange unit. So when you add structuring to that, you have this energetic signature already there, and you're adding the energetics of the dynamic movement of structuring. So you get an exponential outcome. Well, it benefits all things, plants, animals, life, man. It benefits us by bringing our physical being into balance. As water is structured, it changes not only the molecular structure of the water and everything that's in the water, but changes the viscosity or the tension on the water. And primarily, this is what makes the water more readily available. So as you consume it and or bathe in it, it goes instantly through the cellular walls and is instant hydration. So that's how we benefit. You'll instantly feel the hydration. The majority of people claim the water to be wetter, which it is, because the water is more dense after it's structured. There's more water in a cubic centimeter or cubic inch of structured water than there is in unstructured water. People notice within a short period of time, within a shower, is that their hair is softer, their skin is softer, that any itch or any irritation on their skin goes away. And by the way, if you shower with structured water having a sunburn, the sunburn goes away, because the structured water is, again, instantly enters into the cellular level. So it hydrates any burnt skin. This would be the same thing in a medical institution where people have physical burns. So it would hydrate the skin, regardless of how deformed the skin is. Water running in a straight line, man-made. When water runs in a straight line for 300 feet, it makes the water dead. Absolutely no energy. On our GDV, it's a blank page. There's no light, no living light in that water. If you put a structuring unit on that line, the water will remain structured for 300 feet. At the end of 300 feet, the water is dead again. However, when you shut the water off, the water stops flowing. The water was structured for 300 feet. Instantaneously, all the water forward from the structuring unit and all the water back behind that structured unit are instantaneously structured. And that's entrainment effect. Structured water anywhere in the pipe, stop the water from moving, instantaneously all the water is structured. How that really equates to, say, a drip system. A drip system in a field is water runs, stops, runs, stops. And you can see effects of one unit, one structuring unit in a field, potentially having an effect 1,000 feet out in all directions, just from that start, stop, start, stop. It was a strawberry field in Port Hueneme, California. The farm agreed to put a commercial unit on the header line of the area of the field that was the worst producing and the lowest food value. Strawberries are sold primarily by food value, which is called Brix reading. The food value was a 4, and they watered it first time, and they checked the strawberries 48 hours later, and it was an 8. And as they continued on through this, the strawberries continued to produce, and the Brix, or the food value, continued to increase. And the food value got up to 16 to 18. And they discovered that the strawberries, not only were they watered, but 1,000 feet in all directions, all the strawberries were producing the same. It increased the food value of all the strawberries 1,000 feet out in all directions from the watered strawberries. To continue this story, they shut strawberries are seasonal, so they shut the water off. They shut the fertilizers off. And those plants continued to produce. And 1,000 feet in all directions, the strawberries were still, as these bloomed and produced, 1,000 feet out, they were blooming and producing without water. They had never received the original water. They were receiving the energy of the original area. This is some of the magic of structured water. Everybody is in their own world, and I would really love to shake them out of that world and get them more into the space of being curious, more curious about water and the infinite possibilities that it can bring about, not only in their lives, their friends, their family, their neighbors, and the world. Well, after that, there should be no questions. I'm done, right? I'm extremely grateful for my team, for the people that have come and are involving themselves in this movement. One of our business managers, Weston Jolly, is here with us. His son put this movie together in a very short period of time. And we've struggled doing videos, getting them right, getting the content right, over and over and over again. But this is the magic. And I know from both of them every day, what their involvement with this water, their involvement in drinking it, bathing in it. But they are blossoming in the magic. Anyway, I'm going to open up this to questions, but I just want you to know that I have a a remarkable staff of people here. Everybody has their part to play. And I want to introduce a few of them if they are willing to step up on the stage. I don't know if Tim Tula is here. Tim is our researcher. He operates our gas discharge visualization, which proves structured water, proves the biophoton energy, proves the minimal entropy or chaos that would occur in most waters that are agitated. Anyway, Tim, are you here or not? Tim is constantly, when we're in the same room, in the same space, he's constantly asking me questions. You know, kind of is the way it goes. And through the answers and through the that excitement of wanting to know more, here's a young man who has taken that technological response to another level. So we have structured water. Structured water makes health. It brings about balance and harmony in everything that it enters into. There are people out here in the audience that know about adding a cup of structured water to their radiator and increasing their gas mileage. The answer to that is a molecule is a molecule is a molecule. When you have a harmonious molecule anywhere in the system, it opens the doorway for all things to be identical to it. So anyway, Tim, in one of his flurries of questions and whatever, we started talking about air quality. So if you have not met, this is Tim Tula, and I'd like him to kind of explain where we're coming to, where we're going to. And we'll keep this short so we can get a lot of time for questions. So Tim.
Thank you, Clayton. It's been a magical little adventure. You know, have you ever had an adventure that's so great you just want to do it again and again? Like with me, that's what the first time I walked into this room and heard Clayton speaking, something clicked, and I had never had anybody explain water in all the years of training, whether it was acupuncture or any kind of biology, medical training. So I looked at the water and these units and I started trying to figure them out. That's why I have so many questions, like, what are you doing here? And it was just, from the get-go out in the room, I started testing. So I wanted to know if these really worked, just like all of you do. And so I started looking at the body, and one of my mentors, Dr. Walker from Neuroemotional Technique in California, he would tell us that ileocecal valve is the mother of all disease. So, if that was true, could these units help? And the first test I did was to see if this water in any way corrected that, and it did immediately. And I was just like, okay, I got to keep going forward here. So a lot of things have happened, many, many adventures, many questions, but in this last spring, it is, I think, with everybody here, the air is a certain amount of concern. And it became more and more aware aware on the radar screen that people were getting compromised from the air. And so I started thinking, well, what can the structured water units do? Can they help us? And one of the questions I asked Clayton was, what do you think? You know, can we use this to breathe? Actually, I came back and said, can you build me one of these structured air units, you know, for breathing? So I started testing just with breathing through the unit. And actually, one of the first tests I did was with cigarettes. And we had a cigarillo We put it in the end. First of all, we lit it, and then we blew out into a paper napkin, and all of a sudden there was a huge circle of tar and nicotine on the napkin. Put that same cigarillo here, blew in, blew out on the napkin, nothing. Clear. And that just lit up a whole new world. So we're now experimenting a lot with breathing through the units. One breath, like that, changes your physiology. And that's a whole new world. And I think we're just on the very start, the first step. We've already worked with people out here a little bit. We're seeing some amazing things happening right off the bat. And in time, hopefully the medical community, the scientific community will see this for some amazing things. So thank you, Clayton.
Thank you, Tim.
I know one day he's going to get a Nobel Prize from somebody. He won't get a Grammy because he doesn't sing, but hopefully a Nobel Prize. So thank you, Clayton.
Thank you, Tim. So like I say, you know, I work in play in an environment of infinite possibilities. I've always known that, and I've always been there. But in these current times, it's happening all around me every day. And we have all these amazing people coming together to bring this about worldwide with with a world-class foundation to be able to address any issue anywhere in the world. We have coming into our staff a young lady by the name of Rebecca. Rebecca Saltzman is handling our foundation. She's an expert, an absolute expert. And these people coming into my life bring a lot of emotion up for me. Tears to my eyes, Rebecca. This is one absolutely divinely beautiful woman who is about to change our environment, not only structured waters environment, but the environment of the world all over. Bringing harmoniously people together, organizations together to aid people that are in severe conditions, health conditions all over the world. Anyway, Rebecca, you can talk into my microphone. Oh, you got one. Oh, good.
The thought that structured water could totally change the entire world. If you could go into a developing country where they don't have clean water or access to water at all, that you could actually find systems that are being put into place and then have people be able to have clean water all over the world. How could we change everything? And I'm so incredibly grateful to know this man. So we are starting to put together various campaigns that will be able to do things like Tom's Shoes has buy a portable unit and then you can send a unit to a developing country. We're starting different campaigns that will be able to allow for people to get units where they don't have the funding for them and to be able to have clean water. So as you might all know, that water is so very important on the planet. We are able to then enhance and enlarge programs that are already being put into place all over the world. And wouldn't be able to be done without this one.
Fantastic.
So
Thank
grateful.
you, love.
Thanks.
So this is just oops, there goes the water. Anyway, the other person, my chief operating officer, she doesn't have to come up to the stage. You know her. You've seen her behind our demonstration, our table. Her name is L'Oreal Hannon, and she's certainly welcome to come up and speak if she chooses. So, this is a first. Anyway, I just want you to know that due to her participation in this organization has brought us to a place of knowing and being, let's say, charged by the surge that has come upon us of sales, of getting out there in the world. We have experienced a 2,100% increase in business. You think about that in your own space, if you could handle that, and if your suppliers could keep up with that. It's a challenge, but the people that are coming and the involvement is bringing us into, again, a world-class organization. And it takes management, it takes people with a passion. And so here is L'Oreal Hannon.
Thank you, Clayton. This has been an amazing journey for me. Came from Denver, Colorado about a year and a half ago. I had lived there 33 years, and I was getting the message to move, and I didn't know where. You guys have probably had that experience, maybe some of you. So I began to pack my house up, everything I owned, my business, and I said, okay, where? And I didn't get a message right away, but the energy was strong. So continued listening, talking to people, feeling into it, and eventually I knew it was Sedona. I had never been to Sedona. Go to Sedona. I got in my car with just the stuff in the car, and I went to Sedona. I said, I'm here. And a week later, I met Clayton. A friend of mine introduced me to Clayton, said, come on over to the house. I walked in, the whole time I'm there, he just stares at me. I'm like, wow, what is this guy about? But he just continues to stare at me, and the next day they called me and asked me to come back, and he said, I knew when you walked in the door you were here to change everything. Would you like to come and work for us? And of course I said yes. But really, it's about the water. This structured water is amazing. I was walking, woke up one morning early and went for a walk, and what kept coming to mind was that statement that's right there. What if one thing could change everything? And that's what this water is about. This water brings things back to life, brings people back to life, animals back to life. What could it do for you? What could it do for agriculture? For all of us? It begins to wake people up, decalcifying the pineal gland. What are the possibilities? That's just what I want to leave with you. What are the possibilities? Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Clayton.
Thank you, Lynn. So again, you know, I have a lot of people have been coming to me with ideas and that they have introduced our structured water to other countries, other businesses that would extremely benefit. And I'm going to say this, you know, if you have any questions, you know, hopefully you can get a chance to ask them of myself or any one of my staff. And even beyond that, our website is naturalactiontechnologies.com, and there is some literature out there for you to take home, and we have lots more. We have lots of science, and we are endeavoring to do much, much more. But it takes, again, people with passion, people that want to know, people that want to explore the infinite possibilities. Tim has a list of experiments to do that I often say to people it would extend the length of that hallway out there. So he's only one man. And hopefully the day will come where we have a full room or a full, or the rest of the world out there doing experiments, and we are getting more and more of them. Videoed experiments, people engaging in what they know and giving us that feedback. So I invite all of you to do that very same thing. I will open this up to questions. One other person I want you to know is here. His name is Weston Jolly. He is a business consultant and a very profound one. He's very intuitive. He's just amazing. Anyway, he is engaging in, if you have anything that other businesses, opportunities, speaking events, all these things, we're open to listen. So let me open the floor up to questions. And again, you can come and visit with us at our table, which is straight outside that door. Anyway, if you would, please.
For questions, we'll just come up over here to the left, and we'll get a microphone.
So, I like the video, first of all. It was really nice. I liked the movie. It was very nice.
Thank you.
Speaking of experiments, you talk about the effect impacting strawberries that were 1,000 feet away. Do you have any ideas on how you might block the effect, just so you could test?
How long it took?
Or in terms of if you watered strawberries here and strawberries there, one with structured water, one without.
You know, the problem with all this is everybody is looking at what is happening in front of them. Nobody looks around. And that strawberry event, basically, we had a videographer out there 4 times, okay? And it wasn't until the last time that they realized that things were happening further on out. So the time frame was about a month before they realized it. But how long it actually took, I have no idea. Further study is required. Yes, Tim? Yes. Anyway, it takes manpower, equipment. We do have a test device that could do it, but we need manpower to man it, to set it up, to monitor it. And it is a portable GDV. You can plug a flash drive into it, and it will provide you with information. It can record a ghost passing through the room, but it will record energy changes and very subtle energy changes. So the equipment is available. We just need the manpower. And also we need the participation of a farm or an event that's occurring. It just, and that takes coordination. And that's where Weston Jolly comes in.
Thank you.
Coordinating, bringing things together, making it happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions for you. Thinking about what you were saying, that sometimes the structuring of the water may not necessarily remove all the toxins that are there, but that the structuring makes it, as if it's not an issue, right? Something along those lines?
It will energetically neutralize all toxins.
Right, they neutralize them. So I guess I'm thinking of a few different things here. Like at what level of the dirtiness of the water, would it continue to be effective? I mean, you wouldn't just take straight sewage water and put it through one of these. Is there a cutoff at some point?
Well, I suspect there is, but but I've heard people that scoop up mud puddle water and drink it after structuring. A conversation I had with somebody in the audience just recently, I think he's been in the back of the line, hopefully he gets a chance to talk. Really, there's, again, further study is required. The aspect of the physical, everything and you got to know this, everything you eat and everything you drink goes out your elimination system. Everything you eat and everything you drink. So the knowledge of what feeds your cells, energy. It's energy riding on a water molecule that enters into each and every cell and nourishes it. Now, with that knowledge, you should know that you could be nourished by a drumbeat. And actually, your nourishment is the sun. But an apple, say, on a tree, assimilates sunlight, energy. It assimilates nutrients from the earth, energy. You eat it, and that energy goes, again, all the physical goes out, and the energy goes to feed the cells. So, when you start talking about the conditions of water, all the physical goes out your elimination system, and the energy goes forward. When you don't have structuring, or you don't have high quality water, and your body is not optimally functioning, the cells start, there is a certain point in your body that it needs what it needs, and it starts taking on, let's say, things that are not necessarily good. But life is the ultimate. So, so anyway, go ahead.
So just thinking of kind of where I was leading with all this, I'm thinking of kind of, have you had any success with larger scale units that are structuring, like at a water treatment facility, that kind of thing?
Well, you're talking about a large facility, a lot of water?
Yeah, like, maybe the last step before they kick it out into the environment is to structure it, that kind of thing.
Yes. As close as you can get to where you want the water to go. But on the other hand, I get a lot of questions about doing communities, and once you structure something, and it's the same throughout life, once you change one thing, read that sign, right there beside you.
Yeah.
Everything changes. Things can never go back to where they were originally. Never.
So you have had success with larger scale
Yes.
units? Okay.
Right.
Cool.
I have technology. I met an individual through an advertisement of Tesla Tech 3 years ago. He read the ad, he called me, came out, we spent some time together, and we just formed a partnership to utilize combined technologies to address large volumes of contaminated water. 5 million gallons a day, approximately. And yes, it's possible. We have to develop our individual technologies to accommodate larger volumes. And not only that, 50 different chemical compositions that would melt virtually anything that you put even close to it. So, what do you use? Basically, from our perspective, we will more than likely have to bring about new elements, new materials that don't exist. This is where I love to work, in that field of infinite possibilities. The only limitation that we as mankind have is what we think. So, thank you.
Hi, Clayton. Thanks for your presentation. I'm Dr. Ralph Umbriaco, and I want to learn more about water, and I have a passion for wanting to know about things that help the human body become more healthy. And I feel like the more I study water, the less I know. And it's kind of frustrating.
Welcome to the club.
Anyway, what's weird is that you talk to different people and everyone's going to stress a different parameter. Somebody will say, oh, it's the structure. Somebody else will say, no, it's the pH. No, it's the bond angle. No, it's the ORP, the oxidative reduction potential. And there's all these different parameters, and I kind of don't know what to believe, who to believe, or what makes the best water. And at the same time, I kind of don't understand if you had several technologies in sync, like a whole house water filtration system, along with this, along with maybe several magnets or several other devices. Do these technologies cancel each other out?
No.
Do they build on stack on top of one another?
Well, every time you would run water through a structuring device, you increase the biophoton energy level. So, it just goes up and goes up. It gets better and better. Now, you're talking about if you have reverse osmosis, you have filters, you have all these different arrangements that people have sold. I mean, I've seen people that in their homes have so many different modalities, and maybe they do cancel one another out. But when you add structured water, everything gets better. It makes everything more efficient, and everything work in harmony. It does not matter whether it's animate or inanimate. A molecule is a molecule is a molecule. This is physics. And for physicists, and what we would do, we're bumping into the old paradigm, which is science of the physical world. We're dealing in the science of the energetic world. And the two don't mix, they do mix. However, the education that a chemist has, he doesn't take well to something he doesn't know. It doesn't exist. It's a hoax. And I got to tell you, we have tens of thousands of people all around the world that know it's not a hoax. So. And your first question was?
Oh, my first, I want to know more and I want to learn more. Do you have, I didn't say this question earlier, but this is where I wanted to go, and that is, do you have a list of books or resources where somebody can get up to speed and educated on water?
I'll tell you, my website has so much information. I've never read my website, but these guys know it well. And there's so much information in so many categories. And if it's not there, call the office. They'll bring it up. We have Tim Tula. He's our researcher. He's available a lot of the time. If you have a really, a question that's burning a hole, you can communicate with him, and maybe he will take yours first. Who knows?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
How are you?
Good morning.
I think you really have to draw the line between structured water and what you refer to as clean water. I have worked in third world water remediation for 30 years. And I know what these people are faced with. They're faced with, and you do too, E. coli, virus, pesticides, arsenic, etc. And there is no way that your system can possibly help those people and reduce the death rate of 30,000 people per day. I know what is required for the remediation of their kinds of water. And things like E. coli bacteria, whatever's going to go in your unit, because I have tested it, and I have tested almost every system, is what's going to come out of the unit. Trihalomethanes, what goes in is what comes out. Now, I know you have this belief about you de-energize the contaminant, etc., but at the physiological plane, it's just not going to help the person on the other end. And while it may have tremendous health benefits, I don't even question it. While it may improve agriculture, I don't even question it. But I think you have to be very careful when you start talking about life-threatening contaminants.
There's the science of the old paradigm. And I understand where you're coming from. I've been there. I worked in that environment. But I have seen the light. And if we had the time here, I would introduce you to Tim. Tim has taken this technology to the university level and beyond and proven that E. coli, after structuring, is different. And I know that the science, the physical science, can't prove that. But
the issue is the result with the person that's consuming, the result with the person that's consuming the water. I mean, do you realize what it would take to prove that one could deactivate a virus in water?
okay, let me give you this one.
It would require an epidemiological study of grand proportions.
I know that.
And I'm not picking on your system. There's a lot of devices that structure water and do fantastic things to water. I'm a believer in structuring of water. But when it comes to the physical reality of real contaminants, yeah, I'm just saying I think you have to be very careful where you step.
I understand that. I understand that.
Clayton, may I make a comment on that one, with your permission?
You can make a comment on anything you want. You're going to do it anyway, whether I agree with it or not. So what the hell?
You know, we currently, my family members currently have a project going in Africa right now, and he's right. There are some things that there is no way to take care of, at least not easily. But I'm going to tell you this: if you could just make 1% difference, this isn't in a 1%. This isn't a single-digit percentile type of thing. If you can do more than 1% and just the lives you save with that, let alone the groceries you can grow and the quality of the groceries that you can put out of the same place, the lives that that's going to save, there may be some things that this doesn't work on because it hasn't been tested and run through yet. That's fine if we want it, and that's good to point out, that there's problems. There's problems with everything. But we can look at the glass as being half empty or half full. And I think right now, as a community of scientists at large, we need to look at the benefits and the blessings that can be bestowed on society and the world at large by what it can do and what it's already known to do and produce, and the positive that it blends into our daily humanity, okay? You're right. There's probably other things that it can't do also. It probably doesn't do Windows or iceboxes either. But let's focus on the things that can be positive. And I was actually thinking just a while ago after I'm going to talk to you afterward, because my family has a project to feed. We just built a clinic. Some family members just built a clinic and a mission and a school in Africa. And we need some water work. Request lines are open. Next question, please.
I just want to say something about the last question, the last confrontation. And I always run into these confrontations with the conventional science. We've had people in Haiti demonstrating structured water. And the water in Haiti the tap water is laden with cholera. Yet they ran that cholera-laden water through a portable unit, I believe it was 6 times, maybe 10 times, and drank the water without any ill effect. And I'm going to say this, Tim Tula has taken this to the university level and proven to the science departments at universities here, maybe actually in Arizona, and proven to them that the E. coli is changed. It can no longer harm you when it's structured. So, I know that there's a lot of resistance to change. We run into it every day. We all run into it. but for humanity to survive, we have to find a way. And I believe that this is the precursor to that way. We may combine structuring, and we are. Again, I said I'm affiliating with a friend of mine. His wife is sitting right here in the audience, and with our combined technology, I believe we can change anything. If we can take a piece of wood and change it into a piece of metal, just through our technologies, I think that's a pretty significant, adventure. So I'll go on to your question. I just want you guys to know that everything is possible. And the science has to catch up. I mean, if it doesn't, we're going to aid it to do so. And I would ask Rebecca, and anyway, I know that she is going to represent a significant avenue for us to do that, equipment-wise, manpower-wise, and opportunity-wise. So go on with your question.
Clayton, could you please talk about the implications of your technology and structured water for water desalination, please?
Yes, desalination is a big one. We haven't gotten into it yet. My experience with salt water is once you structure any water, it's changed. With salt water, it would be the same thing. You'd never have the same condition. Now, I know that structuring in Australia, for instance, where they have a lot of water that's what they call that, brackish water, and they have successfully structured brackish water and for growing crops. I know from my own science that salt water could fairly easily be transformed into growing crops. An example is salt that exists today, Himalayan salt from the Himalayan mountains, is an extremely balanced salt. It's 18% sodium, 20% chloride, and a perfect balance of all the minerals essential to life. You get it? Essential to life. Anyway, you can grind that salt up and sprinkle it on your lawn or garden, and everything will instantly jump up with I'm alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic. So, what does it take to balance salt water? I believe structuring will do it, but it may take some additional, let's say, technologies. And I have that technology available. It's just a matter of implementing it again. It's a matter of man-proofing it, putting it into what we're doing with all of our products, making them where they can be manufactured in mass. Man-proof. You can drive over this with a truck and it'll still work. All of these units are that way. And this is where we're headed. So, you want to do another question while this guy in the black suit is allowing it?
So I've been in the water business since 1975. I presently own a bottled water company, and I'm involved in industrial water quality. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. And I'm going to ask you, I'm going to make one statement in direct rebuttal to what you just stated about Himalayan salt. I have tested it. It's about 90 8 to 99% sodium chloride. It has a total of 9 minerals. That's all it has. It has 9 elements. The color comes from an algae, from nothing else. The Himalayan Salt Institute was a bogus marketing company. The laboratory did not exist. The lab testing protocols are at best made up. There is no such protocol existing in chemical analysis. Okay? So you made 2 claims that I'd like to ask you to, they're extraordinary claims, and without challenging them, I just ask you to provide the proof. There is a test for water viscosity, and it involves a dynamometer, and it's a probe, a needle, and it tests the surface tension of water, and the data is expressed in dynes per square centimeter. And I would like you to, at some point, show us where your claim that you've reduced surface tension, you can show us a delta in that number. The second claim that you made was that this water releases more oxygen. Water carries dissolved oxygen about, I think, about 5 to 8 parts per million, and it's all dependent upon temperature. Do you have, there's a very simple device that you can use to measure that. It's called a DO meter, dissolved oxygen meter. Can you show us scientific data? Just show us, hey, here it is before and here it is after. And I'm going to just take my seat and let you respond.
Well, all these things, he's right, that there are all those testing devices out there. And virtually everything has a however, you know, in nature. The Himalayan salt that I tested and was involved in was exactly as I said it is. In fact, there are institutes that wouldn't utilize it until they knew those tests exist and the results of them. So I don't have all that in front of me right at this minute. I know that my water and the structuring does change the viscosity of the water. It's been proven over and over and over again. I don't carry that equipment around with me. Most people, to test the viscosity of the water, may cost you a very, let's say, a healthy amount of money. But once you know, you don't go around and test all the water. So, you know, and I know these things are, like I said, every water is different. Everywhere you go. No 2 waters are the same. So, it doesn't sway me hearing the adverse. There's a lot of adverse out there, believe me. So, but like I said, we don't carry that equipment anymore. I worked in a research facility that had unlimited funding for 40 years. And all the things that I'm talking about have been tested in that facility. However, it was in an environment that I couldn't bring the test results out. When I came out of that facility, I went to a university. The university was in Texas. First to a chemistry lab and then to a physics lab. And everything that I've said, they agreed with. but they wouldn't put it on paper without a $5 million grant. So, right now where I am, I'm going to produce that information for you definitively. But it does take money, it takes manpower. And I know it's there. I've seen it there.
This piece of equipment costs less than one of your most expensive units.
Okay. Well, I'm not out there looking for equipment right now. What I'm doing is promoting my product, and I know it works. And we have testimonials and people all over the world agreeing with me. So, you can start a campaign to change that if you like. Other people have.
Hello, my name is Randy Wood, and I don't really have a question. Rather, I have a suggestion for some experimentation that I think you might find interesting as far as related to one of the previous questions about pathogens in the water and so forth.
Yes.
As I recall, there was discovered by accident a method for treating certain types of molecular things in water, or, well, let me put it this way. It was discovered by accident that snake venom, the molecular structure of snake venom can be destroyed by a high voltage electrical discharge. Say something like 100,000 volts, 10,000 volts, somewhere, between those two. I'm not sure exactly what the level is. But I know several medical doctors that, in fact, treat snake bites with a high voltage shock, and it apparently destroys the molecular structure of the snake venom. So something akin to that might be useful for treating pathogens in water by some sort of electrical treatment. And that's what I like to suggest, is maybe some experiments in that area might be of interest.
Thank you. Tim, got that?
Hi, Clayton. I thought it was quite interesting what you're doing, and I want to look into it much more. Thanks to Terry Brady, who has been running these conventions for about 30 years. Thanks to Terry Brady, who's been running these conventions for about 30 years, I've been introduced to some very profound individuals, one in particular that's been associated for about 4 decades with a group of people around the planet that have technology that they're in negotiations with 8 different nations right now on water purification for municipalities and bottling plants, portable bottling plants to go on to all the continents around the world, and hopefully it'll stop being blocked and it'll all get out. And it's serious things. What I want to, and it's a purification that purifies better than anything on the planet. Which seems to maybe go along with what you have uncovered, discovered. And my thoughts are, can you use these devices for bottling plants in particular? And I just want to add one thing. The water that'll be available to mankind through this situation will be less expensive than what's in the marketplace right now. And we have garbage in the market right now. Everything coming through the plastic bottle, anything you buy in the stores is pure garbage compared to what they're doing right now in this team that's been operating literally for 4 decades. Can these units help with a bottling plant?
Yes. We have a bottling plant just up the road from us in Rimrock. I live in Camp Verde, Arizona, by the way. My badge says New Mexico. Anyway, I live in Camp Verde, Arizona, and just up the road from us is a bottling plant. They put one of those large structuring units on their bottling, and they did it about 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood. They run structured water they get the same claims as we do, the same, identical, same testimonials as we do from their bottled water. They can't keep up. They can't bottle enough water to keep up. And what they did when they first ran the structured water is they ran a couple of extra cases, they set them aside, and every quarter, every 3 months, 4 months, every 4 months, they send a sample bottle into a firm in California that examines it for the energy level. And it hasn't changed. And that's been about 1.5 years now.
That's excellent. Okay, can we discuss this later, and possibly I can introduce you to the right individuals that you can work it out and take a step further.
What would you like to know more?
No, we'll talk later, and I can possibly, I'll look into what you've got, because this is the first I've been made aware of this at all.
Okay. Well, why don't we discuss this later on?
Yes.
Okay? That'd be fine. Thank you.
I just am so grateful that you've made such a simple device a 5-year-old could use that can be used all over the world. Great gratitude. And I'm really excited about the possibilities that we could breathe through the same device and improve our health and well-being. Could you please talk more about that part of it?
Well, we've ventured into many different aspects of that. I don't know if I even should go down this road since I have so many critics in the room. It may upset them, but it's okay. Right, Tim? Should we talk about the exhaust of a car? What's the contaminants in the exhaust of a car? We could take one of these units, put it up a tailpipe, and change that exhaust to healthy. Put that in your hat and whirl it around. So, go ahead.
I'm one of the gentlemen that Clayton suggested I put it in the radiator of my car. If all the molecules in the universe are interconnected, and we spent some time talking about that, I was willing to do that, put it in my car. My car is a 1992 Acura Integra, 4-cylinder Honda engine in it. The EPA says that the maximum mileage that I can receive on the highway is 26 miles to the gallon. Now, it's true, leaving this conference last year, that we had a following wind going back to Denver. And the maximum mileage I got was 37 miles per gallon in one tank full. I averaged over 32. Now, several of my friends and associates who think when you're involved in weird science, you're going to receive lots of criticism. And the friends that work with me and my wife called WSITs, Weird Scientists in Training. So, yes, I talked about it, and I sent the information and the data that I have to Clayton. One of the questions we have is, well, how long does this last if you turn the water off in the strawberry fields? So I happened to, they were one of my clients. My family financed and supported at the beginning of the enzyme business in Charlie Worthington, and we produced enzymes. And I've been in the enzyme business, and I've recovered lakes, rivers, sewage plants, etc. However, it's outlawed by the EPA. And that's why I'm not any longer in the business. There's other things to do. More wonderful things to do, by the way. All right, in the car, it lasted for about 7 tankfuls. and that I had to put some more in the radiator. Some of my friends, okay, give it a try. We've now in 5 different automobiles, people come and say, Al, how does this work? I don't know how it works. I don't care. All I do is run the tests. I know how long it takes. I was a microcircuit process engineer at Hewlett-Packard. I know the difference between real data and phony data, and I appreciate the guys that came and asked the questions. Because in their realm, that's what they see and what they believe and what their testing has been in the past. I just want to support Clayton, and I want to challenge them to start running some tests and see what happens. And look at the data. All I know is that my car is only supposed to get 26 miles to the gallon, and it gets over 30, and it takes about 7 tankfuls. That's how long it lasts, Tim put it in my car. But there is one caveat. They're going to think you're crazy.
Thank you, Al.
Is that it?
Clayton, thank
off?
you very, very much.
Okay.
Actually, our time has come to a close. Real quick one? Can you want...
Whatever.
She wants a quickie.
Not that kind. Anyway, my name is Patty Woldridge, and your movie pointed out some entrainment in the fields, the strawberry fields.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think this gentleman was just talking about was molecular entrainment in the fluids in the radiator. Is that possible?
Yes.
For okay.
Yes. And not only in the fluid, in the metal itself.
In the metal itself?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you there, young lady. Ladies and gentlemen, Clayton Nolte.
Thank you.